The biggest race of the season for Ferrari is here, the Italian Grand Prix at one of the most famous circuits in the world. We are here at Monza for the final European race of the GP4 OC 2017 season. The 12th time the Italian Grand Prix has been held at Monza, and of course the 8th of 10 tracks that have been on the OC calendar for every season. The circuit located on the outskirts of Milan, and is the fastest track on the OC calendar, of course. Just imagine if it didn't have half the chicanes it does. It would pretty much be almost like an oval race. Previous winners here at Monza have included Joseph Willows, Miklos Gal, Will Nella, James Willows, Robbie Ionescu, Yuri Marta. We've had a whole host of winners here at Monza, so it's going to be interesting to see. And nearly all the drivers that have won are still racing, of course, since the season started back in 2006. The lap record here set in 2009 by Florian Volker, a 1:20.096, 53 laps, circuit length of 5.793 kilometers, just 11 corners, some of the most famous corners on the calendar, of course. The tyres we will be using for this race, we will find out. It will be the super soft tyres once again. And the driver of the day from last time out, the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa, was Joseph Willows for outsmarting the Mercedes on strategy, which is words you'll never hear in real life ever. Anyway, the starting grid for the Italian Grand Prix is as follows. On the front row, it is Will Nella and Amar Kar for Mercedes and Red Bull. Will Nella, of course, already beating the record set by Florian Volker. The lap record, that is, in 2009. Then the Ferraris on row 2, Joseph Willows and Florian Volker want to be 1 and 2 to really please the Tifosi. Joe McKenzie 5th and Miklos Gal in 6th position for Mercedes and for Red Bull. 7th and 8th is Roland Moitian and Franco Lopez for Williams and Force India. Pink Mercedes is also known. 9th place is Rick Yan for Force India, and 10th is Michael Mocho for Toro Rosso. On row 6 of the grid is Oliver Glaser for McLaren and Franco Gamba for Toro Rosso. Of course, not one of a number of Italians on the grid. On the 7th row of the grid we have Joel Hutter for Haas and Julius Anderson for Williams on row 7. Row 8 is Etienne Jones and Evan Byrne, who had qualified 11th but had a 5-place grid penalty, a very harsh one I might add, from Spa last time out. 17th place is George Roque and 18th place is Niklas Zorbach, who is aiming to finally finish this race. He's retired from 6 races so far, let's hope it's not 7. Turin now turned 19th and Paolino Tomaselli 20th for Sauber. And on the last row of the grid it is Roberto Gamba for McLaren and Felix Sonntag for Sauber. So that is the grid for the Italian Grand Prix. And the team news for this week is that the 2 Hungarians, Roland Moitian, will leave Williams to join Force India, and Miklos Gal will remain at Red Bull for next season. So 2 not really surprising driver announcements. It was expected that Moitian would stay, but he's going back to his old team at Force India. And the weather for this race, it will be a dry race here at Monza, 0% chance of rain, sunny. So it is going to be very, very interesting to see how this race goes for the championship. So here we go. 53 laps around one of the most famous circuits on the OC calendar. We now have 5 lights about to come on. We have 4 lights, and we now have 5 lights that are now coming on. And we're underway here at Monza. And it looks like Nella has made a pretty good start. The Ferraris are being quite racy as well. Willows has made an excellent start, although Volker's now getting on his inside. It's almost 3 wide between Car and the 2 Ferraris heading into the first chicane. And Winner just about keeps the lead. And the question is, will everyone get through the first chicane safely? It looks like so far they have, but we need to see what happens at the back. As we look through the rest of the field, there's Glazer, who's dropped a couple of positions. There's Roque, now Tyrion and Zorbach. Have they all made it through? They've all made it through, unbelievably. They've all made it through. No, they haven't. No, they haven't, just as I thought they had. And what's happened here, it's Thierry now Tyrion, the Thai driver for Renault, who had himself actually made a pretty good start from 19th. He'd gained a couple of positions there. He was on the back of Joel Hutter in the Haas. And does he go into Hutter? There's Byrne next to him. And oh no, he gets hit from behind by, oh dear, by the manner of Niklas Zorbach. So his luck doesn't really get any better, does it? It does for Niklas Zorbach, unfortunately. His season is once again cursed. I thought it looked like everyone had made it through, but of course Franco Gamba has thought it would be a great idea to go into the back of Michael Mocho, his teammate. So that's not good for the Toro Rosso team, of course, using their special livery. And this was the start from Volker. Look at it, made a fantastic launch. Gets round the inside. I thought Williams had made the best start, but then Volker just came charging down the inside and then nearly goes into the back of Nella into the first chicane there, but fortunately doesn't. And here we are looking at the Sauer, I think is this of Tomaselli. And oh no! And there's contact between the two, yes. And there is no damage for the Sauber there of Tomaselli, so that's very lucky. But at the moment it is Nella leading, Volker second, Willows in third. and there's a battle brewing behind. There's two battles as Carr is under pressure from Mackenzie behind as they come through. On the inside is Mackenzie into the chicane. I should know the names, but anyway, I know the name of the next corner, one of the most famous corners in Formula 1, the Parabolica. And as they come through, I believe it's the Ascara chicane, that's it, I got it. It's now Volker is on the inside, and the Tifosi are going to be screaming their lungs out, but they are going to have to reserve it, and they'll keep their voices intact, as it's almost 3 wide into the Parabolica there between Anderson, Moitian and Carr, and that's a really good tight balance. Now Volker on the inside, they're heading towards the first chicane. There's battles going all over the place. Mackenzie's all in his only 4th position. Volker sets the fastest lap. It's still 3 wide. Now the Force India is on the inside of Moitian. He's side by side with Carr. It's 3 wide. It's 3 by 2. And as they come into the chicane, oh no! And Moitian is out. And so is Lopez. You could just see that was going to happen. And Lopez is out of this race. And oh dear me. Not good news for them. You could just see that was going to happen. It always happens here at Monza. There's always crashes because they're trying desperately to overtake, and it's just slipstream heaven or splitstream heaven, either or. As we look at what happens, so Lopez look at the speed he got. He was in the slipstream. He almost had 3 positions on that straight alone. He just about made it stick. He was on the inside, but Moitian was like, no, 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 I'm not going to let that happen. And unfortunately, by not letting it happen, he's lost. Well, he's taken himself and Lopez out of the race, and Lopez, who was in contention for the Mercedes seat, it is just slowly but surely fading away. It's been a disaster for Franco Lopez. As we're looking now at the battle for the lead, once again Nella's still holding, but the Ferraris are all over his backside, and Volker's now on the inside heading towards the Parabolica. And is he going to make the move stick on the inside? The answer is no. He once again backs off, but now he's got Willows behind him as well. And here we go. This could be very interesting indeed, because Mackenzie's coming back at them as well. Volker going to try on the inside. Willows is now going to have the slipstream. He's going to try and slot in behind the back of Mackenzie. And now Mackenzie's in the background just watching these guys just battle on. Mackenzie sets the fastest lap behind, as a matter of fact, because these guys are just all over each other's chuff. Now heading in towards the first chicane. And Nella still somehow keeps it. Oh no, he doesn't. And Nella has just gone wide and allowed the Ferraris to take the lead. It's a 1-2, and that could be crucial for the championship. Nella had kept it, and unfortunately he has just given it away at the chicane there. He had the line there. He went a little bit wide there, but then just went over the curb, locked up, and went wide. He has given the lead to Joseph Willows. Volker in second. Now Mackenzie up into third. And here we are looking, the battle, I think we're just about resuming the battle between the 2 Red Bulls going on. This is between Miklos Gal and Omar Carr. Gal on the inside heading in towards the Parabolica. Side by side between the 2. He's going to make the move stick, and the answer is yes. He moves up into P6, and now Volker, who's just about in the slipstream of him there, can't quite get it. And and Glazebrook's now on the inside of the Glazebrook, and the McLaren on the inside of Carr, coming down the front straight, and he looks like he's going to go past him. And he's on the inside, and he's got the line into the corner unless Carr does an incredibly late braking, but that's never going to work. And Glazebrook moves up into P7. So a good start so far for Glazebrook, who himself is under big pressure to keep that McLaren seat. Some have said he has been lucky to have kept his seat for so long, having performed kind of average in many OC seasons, but he's kept it. He's done just about enough and hit. And speaking of doing well, here's Jones on the inside as Jan really blocks him off late. And no, Jones is still going for it. He really is, but he's not going to make it through there. That's going to allow Joe Hutter to have the momentum off the corner there into the second chicane. He's going to make a move on the inside into the first Lesmo. The answer is not quite, and he's not going to be able to make it into the second Lesmo, is he? Nope. Has to hold the position there. Now the battle resuming once again. And all the 2 Ferraris are battling, and Volker now takes the lead back from Willows. This is great racing so far. We've only been 4 laps. So now here comes Jamie Mackenzie, so hold your hats here. And there's a Toro Rosso in front as well. So Willows is going to take the lead back, but they've got to be careful because Mackenzie is right there as well. Side by side between the 2. Willows now is going to take the lead back coming through the Parabolica, or is he? Volker gets the lead off the corner. Now Willows is going to have the slipstream, or is he? Because Mackenzie's going to try and push around the outside. And he's not got it there, but Mackenzie's going to have the slipstream. I wonder if he's going to try and cut to the inside of both, because he's going to have the slipstream, the most speed off the corner. Volker on the Willows on the inside, Volker on the outside, and here's Mackenzie. He's going to try and go for it. He goes past 1 Ferrari, and he goes past 2, does he? Yes, he does. Oh, and incredible! And Mackenzie's taken out. I don't believe what I've just seen. And Mackenzie, he did exactly what I expected him to do. He dived on the inside to try and make the move, and he has taken, well, both 1 Ferrari out of the race and the other one off the circuit as well. Florian Volker is out. Oh, and Carr is off as well. And what happened to Carr? He tried to make a move on the inside of Roke there into the chicane, and he made contact with him. and he spun around, but that was quite incredible what happened to the two Ferraris there. So let's have a look on board from Mackenzie. So I expected he was going to do this move. I could see that he was going to go for it, but Mackenzie, he was in the slipstream. Willows was trying to take the lead back off Volker. He was on the inside, and Mackenzie had the slipstream on both, and I knew he was going to do this. He swapped to the inside of Volker, then he went onto the inside of Willows, and he was more than entitled to go for it. The line was there, and he went a little bit late, and then made contact, and then Willows goes into Volker, and then wow. And speaking of wow, Etienne Jones is in 7th position. We've only been going 5 laps, and we've had so much action. And now, and wow, I'm struggling to speak. There's just so much action happening here. Rick Yan is struggling in the mid-pack at the moment, but Julius Anderson is right. Let's calm ourselves down for a minute. So at the moment, it's Jay McKenzie leading. Woolnella is in 2nd. Julius Anderson, the Williams, is in 3rd. Miguelas Gao is in 4th. I believe it was Glazebrook. Oliver Glazebrook in the McLaren is 5th. I don't know what's going on. This race is mad. Absolutely crazy this is. Everything and anything is happening at the moment. We've only been going 5 laps, so I've barely been able to catch my breath so far. But yeah, Glazebrook is 5th. Roke is in 6th. Jones is in 7th. So Roku's highest finish was 6th Chinese Grand Prix. And here is Yan, who's getting overtaken there. And Willows is, of course, going into the pits because of damage. I was, don't know why I was even thinking that he had a problem. Well, he does, because he's got no wing. Here's now Turin battling with the manner of Zorbach. And Zorbach needs cars to stay away from him if he wants to actually finish a race. So far, 6 races and 6 retirements. And now on the inside is the Force India, and he keeps the position there from the McLaren. That is Rick Yan keeping it from Roberto Gamba. So at the moment, Glazebrook running pretty well in P5. Sorry, Julius Anderson is actually gaining on the back of Woolnella here. This is gonna be quite something if Anderson overtakes Nella. But of course, Nella doesn't really want that, because he's in title contention, and particularly with the 2 Ferraris, with, well, I suppose what Mackenzie did to the 2 Ferraris, he's really in for a shout of closing the gap to Willows. So this is going to be a very fascinating race. He got a poor run coming through the Ascari chicane, did Nella, so Anderson is right on him, and is he going to try and make a move to the inside here? I'm not sure. He's going to go for it. He's on the inside. Nella is really struggling here. Anderson is very quick, although he's got less fuel, so Anderson on the inside. Is he going to make it stick? And the answer is yes, he does. And now Nella's got Miguelas Gao all over his back there, and I thought that was going to be a collision, but Nella might have the slipstream of Anderson still in front of him onto the straight. I'm not sure, but Gao's going to try and make a move onto the inside, but I think Nella's just about got the slipstream of Anderson. Yes, he does. That's how he's keeping ahead. So Nella's going to try and now make a move back on Anderson into the first chicane. Anderson moves to the right, blocks him off. Gao's there on the outside, and fortunately there is no collision. There is no wheels and suspension and parts of the car off, and they keep it intact. Thank God for that. As we look at Gao all over the back of Woolnella, now onto the front straight, and Miguelas Gao once again trying it on Woolnella, and surely this is the move done. And in the background, Oliver Glazebrook is hanging there, and he is waiting. He is closing on these guys, and he's having a really good race. He's keeping up the pace with the front drivers. At the moment, Mackenzie's got a 4.6 second lead over Anderson, although Anderson, as I said, is on light fuel. Gao failed to make it through on Nella into the first chicane as well. But Etienne Jones is in the pits for Manor, and I think this is a scheduled stop as we go looking at Jones, although we were going to see Gao attempting a move on Nella into the second chicane there, but nothing has happened, I guess. But as Jones is in the pits, I think they just changed his front wing, so something happened to Jones? Has he made a mistake? So what happened here? He was running in a very solid 8th position, so he'd obviously been passed by Hutter. He was running in 7th. And then as we look at him coming through the parabolica, and oh, he makes the old mistake going onto the grass, and yep, losing his front wing. Unfortunately, doesn't rejoin in front of anyone. Here we're looking at Gal, who's once again trying it on Nella, and he can't still get past. He's been stuck behind him for a few laps now. That's allowing Anderson to get well away in front. As there he is, as Gal now on the inside coming into the second chicane. Is he going to make the move stick? The answer is he does. He's up into third position now. Actually, Oliver Glazebrook could even pass Woolnella here, and I bet Glazebrook is not expecting that, as Roke is actually coming into the pits this lap as well. And as we look at through the rest of the order, there's Franco Gamma in the special livery Toro Rosso, which I have to say I do quite like. I have to say, Mackenzie at the moment got a fairly comfortable lead over Anderson. Woolnella right now, he's being overtaken by Oliver Glazebrook in the McLaren. Glazebrook's on the inside. That's not going to work out, and so he has to wait another corner. But the driver in 6th place behind him, George Roke, is going to be pitting this lap as well. So a few drivers looking to probably do the 3-stop strategies. We've got a yellow flag out somewhere. Where is that? That is, I believe, the two Lazarus, and Rick Jan is out. So it's a disaster once again for the two pink Mercedes. And Jan, who was on very heavy fuel as well. Look at that. He was going to be definitely going for the one-stop, and does he make a mistake? And the answer is yes, he does, coming out of the second Lesmo and into the wall, and that is his race done and dusted. So there we go. He was coming under pressure from the McLaren behind of Roberto Gamba, who he'd actually been battling with generally throughout most of the race. So unfortunately that is his race over. Not what he wanted at all, and not what Force India wanted, so not been a good result for them. As we're looking at Armor Car, who's coming through here, and he hits the debris there, but fortunately doesn't get any damage, and that would have been a real painstaker if he hit the debris there. We're looking at George Roke, who's coming into the pits for his first stop. Tomaselli's in as well, and that's quite a lot of fuel for Roke actually, so he looks to be doing a 2-stop. As we look at Tomaselli coming in to his pit box for his stop, and he's putting in a tiny bit more fuel than what Roke has. As we look at him coming out of his pit box, Roke comes out in 11th, Tomaselli will come out in 12th, they both come out in clear air. Here is Oliver Glazebrook, who was in 5th position, and now he's up to 4th actually. And Nella's done the same thing again! He's made the same error in 11 laps, and that's allowed Glazebrook up into P4. Oh my word. I have never seen anything like... I've never seen Nella make these kind of mistakes, really. As we're looking at... Oh, that was close, coming into the chicane there. Battle between the Toro Rosso of, I think that's Franco Gamba, and the Manor of Etienne Jones. Side by side, they come through the right hand of Gamba. Can't quite have the power, and unless he dives it into the chicane, he might still make the move. Will he? The answer is no, he doesn't. So he has to stay behind him. Joseph Willis down in a very lonely 16th position, and I saw a car coming into the pits. I think that was, I believe, Julius Anderson. Yes, it is. So he's coming into the pits this lap. So the gap to Mackenzie was 6.2 seconds. So even with the slightly lower fuel, and well, I suppose no surprise, Anderson isn't quite as quick as Mackenzie, but he's certainly shown his pace. I mean, he's not that far ahead of Gal either, actually. So, but he's certainly showing his pace on those tyres. That is. Joel Hutter is in for Haas for his first stop. So is Felix Sontag for Sauber. So it's very interesting to see the number of strategies. It looks like it's the 2-stop is the way to go. That is for sure. So Sontag comes out of the pits, and he's going to come out outside the top 10. Hutter comes out behind his teammate Roke, and Sontag, I think, is going to come out just about behind his teammate Tomaselli, the Italian, and yep, he does. So come out in free air though, come out ahead of Etienne Jones in the manner. So here is Mackenzie in the lead. He's got traffic ahead. We don't have to worry about that because Anderson's coming to pits this lap, and actually I just saw the sector time there. It looked to me that Gal behind him is definitely closing on him. So Anderson obviously must feel that the tyres are going off. So coming into the Parabolica, he'll make a joint move to the right, and he's in the pits. And here we go. Looking at the 80-meter board, going very slowly. Must feel like an eternity for a Formula 1 driver going this slowly. As he comes through the pits, heading for his pit box, and let's see. It looks like everyone is going to be doing the 2-stop here, and Anderson is interesting. So he's actually one of the few drivers that's not put as much fuel in. Is he going to be doing the 3? I mean, Anderson definitely has a shout for a podium here. So if they do, I think if they do a 3 for Anderson, this could be a mistake. But who am I to judge? As he comes out of the pits in, it looks like P6. So he comes out. Oh no, but P7 actually behind the McLaren there. I think Roberto Gamba. So he comes out ahead of Armor Car. That's crucial. But unfortunately for Anderson, he has come out in traffic. He would have preferred to be ahead of both Byrne and Roberto Gamba. That's going to give Gal a chance to jump him in the stops. And actually, he's pitting this lap, so this could be very interesting indeed. Mackenzie's pitting as well, so the front two will be pitting this lap. And we look at Mackenzie coming into the pits, and Gal will be as well. And if Glazebrook isn't pitting, then I believe Oliver Glazebrook actually might lead a lap. And I bet he wasn't expecting that, considering how bad his season has gone. That is for sure. So Mackenzie comes in, and Glazebrook wasn't too far behind, so I think he'll lead a lap because he's not going to get across the line. So as we look at Mackenzie coming into his pit box, in he comes, and Gal will be coming in as well. He changes all 4 tyres, And where is Gal? He should be in now. And yes, there is Gal. Comes in just in front of him as well. The timing of that was absolutely flawless. And Oliver Glazebrook does in fact lead a lap. So Oliver Glazebrook has led a lap of a Formula 1 season. So I mean, I have to say congratulations, because he's had a utterly dreadful season so far, and this will give him, well, as long as he finishes this race, it'll give him some crumb of comfort. But as I said, he's been thoroughly outperformed by Roberto Gamba this season, but so far this race he's performed pretty well. We haven't seen this side of Glazebrook for a while, but I bet he would have wished he could have gone for one more lap just to say he's led 2 laps of a Formula 1 race. But anyway, he's going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. We're looking at Nella there in 2nd position. So as we look at Glazebrook coming through, I bet you must think, where are all the other cars gone? Am I actually in front? I'm not at the back like I usually am. But he comes through into the Ascari chicane, and he is going to be coming into the pits in the lead. I know I keep repeating it, but it's just quite surprising because we've not seen him this far up the field in like ever. He comes down the back straight, and there's Nella in the background. So seeing if anyone with us is coming to the pits, but not at the moment. So Glazebrook, I would imagine, is doing the 2-stop, and I wonder what's the gap to burn. He's probably going to come out behind Miklos Gau, and I imagine he'll I think he will come up behind Miklos Gau, I should say. Evan Byrne, it's going to be close if he comes out behind him or not. We will wait and see. It'll be interesting to see actually if he does come out ahead. Oh, it's going to be interesting to see where he comes out, because all the cars around the time it takes for a pit stop here, about, well, over 20 seconds, probably about between 23 to 26. It's going to be very interesting to see where he comes out on track. So there goes Gal. So there's Nella McKenzie and Gal. So Glazebrook will come out as Anderson is actually passing Byrne down the front straight. And where's Glazebrook? There he is. He's going to come up behind all these guys. So as Anderson crucially does pass Byrne. So Glazebrook is a bit far behind, but he's on fresher tyres. So we'll see how that works out for him. But crucially, Anderson does get past the Renault of Evan Byrne, who is going on a very long stint here, it seems. Car is on a lot of fuel as well. Not quite as much as Byrne, but still a fair amount nonetheless. But unfortunately for Glazebrook, he's got a number of cars to pass, and they're not pitting anytime soon. So Will Nella, despite his 2 mistakes, is leading this race, but of course he hasn't pitted yet. So we'll see what happens with him. So at the moment it will be Jamie McKenzie that takes the lead of the Grand Prix once Will Nella goes into the pits. We're looking at the Red Bull of, this is I think Armar Carr, who's in 7th position, trying to get past the McLaren of Roberto Gamba. He's going to go to the inside, and is he going to make it into the Ascari chicane? The answer is he does make it stick. Yeah, no he doesn't. And now unfortunately he's fallen into the clutches of Oliver Glazebrook behind on fresher tyres, who's going to try and make a move around the outside there. Is he? Nope. Car's going to hold it, but will then Glazebrook swap to the inside? The answer is yes. Is he going to go for it? As Jamie McKenzie actually sets the fastest lap of the race. Glazebrook right behind Carr there, coming through the Parabolica. That was very, very close. And now he's going to make a move on the inside. Is he of Carr? Has he got the straight line speed? The Honda engine, it's just about actually keeping up with Carr, coming down the front straight. So, although it is on fresher tyres, of course, Glazebrook actually, his fuel is about the same as what it is to Anderson's, as Glazebrook is on the inside, and he's going to pass Carr. So, good move there by Oliver Glazebrook, and now he's going to have to get past his teammate Roberto Gamba, who's on similar fuel than to he, but of course on fresher tyres. So Glazebrook should get through in an instant. So at the moment we're looking at Michael Mocho, who's in last, is pitting. There's another car into the pits as well. So we're looking at Glazebrook right now all over the back of his teammate Roberto Gamba, coming through the first of the 2 Lesmos. It was now Tiernan that was coming into the pits. Now heading into the second Lesmo. Glazebrook tries it there, not going to work. It's going to affect his speed, is it? Or is it? No, I think he's still right behind there, so he's going to surely make it coming into the Ascari chicane. Now he's making a move on the inside, and surely Glazebrook is going to get this move done pretty quickly, and the answer is yes, he does. So he moves up into 6th position. Glazebrook performing very well today, and he's now got the Renault of Evan Byrne just in front of him to pass. Now that's allowed Carr with Roberto Gamba getting a poor exit out of there to just actually steamroll past, and there we go. Just like that, makes his way through up into 7th position, and behind the 2 Hasses look to be getting quite close to each other. That is of Joel Hutter and George Roke, and although Gamba actually might make a move back on Carr, he's got the slipstream onto the front straight, and he's just about to make a move to the inside, and it looks like he's going to re-overtake Carr into the first chicane, is Roberto Gamba? And the answer is yes, he does. So there we go, just like that. So as we're seeing the gap actually to the drivers at the front, Mackenzie is definitely closing on Nella. The gap was down to 3 seconds. Need to see how much fuel that Nella has before he comes in for his stop. As we look through, and Nella, he's still got quite a lot of fuel actually to go, so I wonder if Nella is doing the one stop. That might explain why he's been struggling quite a bit. But I have to say, we'll see what happens with him later on in the race. But, well, he's not helped himself with the mistakes that he has made, and at the moment he's still leading, but of course Mackenzie will be coming up to pass him very soon. They'll probably try and hold him up for a few laps so that he can make his one stop work, as Carr now re-overtaking Gamba, or is he? Nope. And now Hutter is overtaking Roke into the Ascari chicane, and he does just that, as now Glazebrook already all over the back of Byrne, and coming into the Parabolica, he's on the inside, and has he made it stick? Yes, he has. So up into P5 is Oliver Glazebrook, a great overtake by the McLaren driver. As we look at Roberto Gamba and Carr, and it looks like it's going to happen once again. Deja vu. Carr's now on the inside of Roberto Gamba as the two Hasses are battling behind, side by side between the two of them as well. Carr now trying to re-overtake, and re-overtake again on Roberto Gamba. He's on the inside. Has he got it done? The answer is, does he? Yes, no? No, he doesn't. And meanwhile, the two Hasses behind, who came out on top there. Interesting who came out on top there, but Carr is now going to be in the slipstream once again. Roberto Gamba is going to try and make a move on the inside. Has he got it? He's just about alongside him. Is he going to make a late move into the chicane? Yes, he's going to go for it, but he's not going to get the run off the corner and has to stay behind. So that battle is going to resume once again, and Roke has come out on top of that battle with Joel Hutter, it seems, at the moment. And here is Mackenzie, who's on the back of Nella. He's now on the inside. Is he? Nope, he can't make a stick there, as he's almost pushing Nella. How close was he there? He was almost pushing Nella through the Parabolica there. And Mackenzie's surely going to get past on the front straight. Not quite side by side. He's not got quite the speed there. He's going to probably dip in and out of the slipstream. Get a little bit more pace, is he? Yep. And now he's going to go for it. On the inside, is he? Nope. And Nella, does he go wide again? And the answer is no, he doesn't. I was going to say, surely he could make the same mistake 3 times in a row. And the answer is that he didn't. So Mackenzie's going to try once again into the second chicane. Is he in the slipstream? Is he close enough? I'm not quite convinced. He's closing quickly. Is he going to make it on the inside or not? The answer is no, he doesn't. So he has to stick behind him there. And so he's now up. Well, he's still behind. He's right up behind Nella. He's right. He could be almost in his diffuser, working on the diffuser, trying to dislodge it at this rate. Mackenzie right behind him, coming through the two Lesmos. Now onto the front straight, and surely Mackenzie's going to make it done. He's in the slipstream, makes a move to the inside. And is he going to make it stick? The answer is no, he's just not quite got it there, not quite. And this is good for Nella, because he's going to try and hold up Mackenzie as much as he can, because he's on a different strategy to Mackenzie, although he's going to be pitting in a similar amount of time that Mackenzie is. So if he holds him up for a few laps, it could be quite close. Mackenzie's on the inside though, coming into the Parabolica, still can't make it stick, and that could allow Miklos Gal, if they're not careful, if they keep battling as much as they are, to close up behind. Mackenzie once again in the slipstream of Nella, or he's just to the right side of him. Now he'll dip in and out in about 3, 2, 1. There we go, look at that. And now Mackenzie's on the inside. Nella once again forcing him out wide. And we have a yellow flag out on the track, and that is Roberto Gamba, who's off the circuit. And is he out of this race? I'm not sure. This was between... Oh, and this was him trying to defend from the Haas of, I think that, well, the two Hasses of Roke and Joel Hutter. So Roke was all over the back of him. Was there any contact between the two? And the answer is no. Gamba just loses control and goes off there. And Roberto Gamba, as he's rejoining the... Oh, he loses his wing there as he comes on. And I thought for a second then he was going to make contact with the Toro Rosso of Franco Gamba, but fortunately he didn't. Now here is the battle once again going on between Nella and Mackenzie. Mackenzie going to try once again on the front straight. Here we go. This time he's going to try and make the move on the inside. Nella moves over too late, and Mackenzie surely got the... oh, and that was close. I was holding it in there as I saw the McLaren coming through out of the pits, but fortunately nothing happened, and Nella is finally overtaken by Jay Mackenzie. And actually Nella has still got a little bit more fuel than Mackenzie. I thought he had less fuel, but he doesn't. So there we go. So Jay Mackenzie now finally takes the lead ahead of Woolnella, and I would imagine he probably would have hoped to have held him up a little bit more, but obviously not. So here is Roke right now running in 10th position, and he's actually dropped behind Joel Hutter actually, and he's dropped behind Tomaselli as well. So I don't know what's happened to Roke here, but he may have made a mistake somewhere. But poor old Joseph Willows in front of the Tifosi, all the way down in, I think, what was that, 16th position. It's been a terrible race for Ferrari, and the Tifosi are going to be baying for Jamie Mackenzie's blood. It's the worst possible person to be leading this race. They will be probably pelting him with whatever they can find, fireworks, firecrackers, like you name it, every probably explosive on the planet at this moment in time. They are going to be absolutely seething. I mean, they're going to be redder than red, if that's even possible. But as we look at Gal, who himself is also closing onto the back of Nella into 2nd position, Anderson is a bit behind as well, and so is Glazebrook. So it looks like Nella's only in danger really for 2nd position at this moment in time. As we look at Gal heading towards the first chicane, we're not even at the halfway stage of this race yet, but it has been a very exciting race. But at the moment, Anderson running very well in 4th position, Glazebrook very well in 5th. As we look through the rest, they look through at Evan Byrne, who's always gone off. Byrne, is he going to lose any debris? And oh no, he doesn't, and he comes up right in front of Carr, and he allows Hutter to go through as well. That could have been very sketchy. We've seen incidents like that before where the wing has come up. Unfortunately for Byrne, it hasn't. He goes wide, you can see, onto the gravel, and fortunately doesn't lose his wing. And then there was Carr going by, and Hutter went by as well. So here is Gal now onto the back of Woolnella in this battle for 2nd position. So heading towards the Parabolica, and of course Nella, one of the few people that actually hasn't pitted this race. Well, I think one of the only people. Nella looks to have gone a little bit wide. He's got a terrible run through Parabolica, and Gal is just going to absolutely ease past him here, and it's going to be side by side between the two. And it looks like the Mercedes engine he's keeping ahead of the Red Bull. You can see him just edging ahead, heading towards the first chicane, and he's not going to make a stick there, but now he's going to dip in the slipstream. He's going to go for it. Ooh. Close there, very, 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 very close, and he doesn't yet make it stick. Just imagine if they didn't have the first chicane there, and they just kept on going straight and all the way to the what would be the first chicane. The engines would struggle to keep up really, as Mocho is passing Roberto Gamba for 17th position. This is for last, and so now Roberto Gamba is down in last position. Miguel Scowl all over the back of Woolnella, and here is Roke himself is on the back of Evan Byrne, who of course made that mistake, and surely Roke is going to make a move on the inside heading towards the first chicane. Roke going to make it through past Byrne, is he? Yep, very easily. Look at the speed that he's got in the Haas, and he's going to easily pass Byrne into the first chicane, and he does just that. And I so thought Byrne was going to run into the back of him there. It's always risky when you do that kind of move there, but he does make it through, does Roke, and Jones behind is going to pit this lap as well. As we look at Byrne, who's going to look like he's going to try and re-overtake Roke. He's going to try and keep in the slipstream, but he's not going to be close enough. So Roke has that position secure now. But Joel Hutter performing quite well in this race as well, and he was behind Roke early on. But as we look at Miklos Gal, who I think has actually finally got past Woolnella, so it has finally happened. And so as we look at Nella being overtaken by Gal, who makes a move on the inside, does he? And yep, makes it through, and Nella lets him go. And it's interesting because those two are actually on similar fuel as well, as Julius Anderson comes in, and I imagine, I'm not sure if he's going to go to the end or not. I have a feeling he isn't, so we are going to see if he does or not as he comes into his pit box and the fuel. Let's have a look. 3, 2, 1, and the answer is no, he doesn't, so he's not going to go to the end. So that's very interesting to see the Williams crew doing that. I bet they didn't expect, I suppose, I guess, to have as much luck as they have had this race. I guess it's probably why they did the 3-stop. But Anderson has had that luck, but he's also had the pace as well. So Glazebrook moves up into P4, and it looks like Anderson, will he come out ahead of Hutter or not? Will Hutter come out past him into the chicane? And yes, he does. That's not what Anderson wants. And Hutter goes wide, and Anderson gets held up severely there, and Anderson's going to try and go around the outside of Hutter here, and it's not going to work. That's going to be good news for Glazebrook. That will allow him to catch up if he pits soon as well, as he was on similar fuel to Glazebrook was Anderson. I think Glazebrook was on slightly more. We'll see. But as we look, we can see him coming out of the pits. He didn't have the speed, and he tried to move over on Hutter, but it was way too late, and Hutter did go way too late into the chicane there, but just about kept it. Mackenzie now takes the lead, relinquishes the lead to Will Nella. And so there, well, no, not to Will Nella, what am I saying? Nello's ahead of him, but Miklos Gau is the one who's now leading this race. So there's Carr now in 7th position. He's on the back of, I couldn't see what car that was there, just went out of shot there. There was a car with a problem there. He's on the back of, I think this is Joel Hutter, I should say. Can't make it through coming into the Parabolica. Mackenzie comes out in P4. And it's Franco Gamba, the Italian, who's got a problem. And the answer is, can he get, that being an electrical problem, can he get to the pits? It's been a pretty disastrous race in general for Italy. Ferrari having issues. And of course, now with one of the Italian drivers in the field having issues as well. Carr trying to get past Hutter, but they won't have to wait too much longer because he's coming into the pits this lap. Miklos Gau at the moment leading this race, Nella in 2nd, but Nella is on the 1 stop, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Nella, because the pace from him hasn't been particularly good, and of course he's made a couple of mistakes, although he maybe could have been further ahead, obviously, had he not made those 2 mistakes at the first chicane. Franco Gamba has made it back to the pits, so at least he can carry on his race. But here's Carr all over the back of Hutter, but he needs to remember that Hutter is pitting this lap, so doesn't have to pass him, although he probably would prefer to do, so he could get some clear air. Although he'll get that in the long term, although in the short term he's still behind him. Now onto the Scari chicane, and it doesn't make it through, so he's going to have to wait until the pits, I guess, unless he tries to do it into the Parabolica, which he might easily do. He's right in the slipstream of the Haas, and he's going to make a move to the inside. He is, and yep, he's going to try and make it through on the inside. Is he? No, that's going to be close, and I think he's going to make it, is he? But this is not good, because Hutter's going to be coming into the pits. Hold on. Oh, thank goodness for that. Hutter has managed to come in. I was fearing a horrible accident. I was going to see wheels and parts of the car there, but he had to back off there, and oh, that was so close. He had to back off there, otherwise him and Carr would have had a nasty collision. So Hutter does come into the pits quite late, but still comes in nonetheless. Oliver Glazebrook now in. The question is, will he go to the end or not? Is the big question. I think he could easily do so, but will he? See as he comes in. And the answer is, will he go to the end? Let's have a look at the fuel. And no, he doesn't. I thought he would try and go to the end, but apparently not. I would probably try to do that in McLaren's point of view, but anyhow, makes the stop, 7.1 seconds. He drops down behind Anderson, and he'll be pitting later on than him. Looks like he'll drop behind Carr as well, but he's pitting in a few laps anyway, so he doesn't need to worry about that. He'll come out ahead of Tomaselli in clear air, so that's good for Glazebrook. Tomaselli himself, who is actually pitting this lap, and speaking of cars pitting this lap, Roke is in, and so Roke, who's had an okay race, but of course, unfortunately you could say he's probably been outperformed by his teammate Joel Hutter, who's overtaken him, having been behind him in the first stop. Will Nella is now coming in, so I would imagine this is his first and only stop of the race. So let's see how this works for him, and if it does work. He's not, as I said, had the greatest of races. So as he comes in, and well, I mean, if the team don't put him on a 1 stop now, having left him out all this time, they'd be mad. But who knows? This is the OC we're talking about, so you don't know what is happening. So Nella now comes in, and he'll change all 4 tyres. Will he go to the end? Let's see. Yes, he does. That's not really a surprise. I expected that. So let's see what Nella can do on these tyres and on the 1 stop. So he's going to be behind obviously Gal, Mackenzie, and if he gets in front of Anderson, this could be important for him, because he'll be in absolute clear air. There's no cars anywhere near him, so this could be vital for Nella. Anderson's coming onto the straight now. If Nella gets out in front of Anderson, this could be good for him. There he is. You could just see him in the front, and it looks like Nella is going to get the position into the chicane. Anderson's not quite close enough, and Nella is crucially ahead of Anderson. That could be very important later on in the race. That is very important for Nella, coming out ahead of Anderson there. So he's now got P3, you could say, pretty much in the bag. That is, unless he makes a mistake, of course, but he's got it. Theoretically, he's got P3 in the bag at the very least. How far is he behind the lead? He's 16 seconds behind Gal, who's currently leading. Mackenzie in 2nd, of course. So let's just see the pace that Nella has on slightly fresher tyres than before. He's only going about 4 laps less well, probably actually, kind of think of it, probably 6 or 7 laps less than before, as we saw Carr making a little mistake coming through the chicane there, because a little bit out of shape, but generally keeps it on the road. And Oliver Glazebrook is going to be closing up to him very soon. Tiravi, now Tiranen, is in the pits as well, and Miklas Gau actually is in the pits too. So the question is, will Gau go to the end or not? Is the $1 million question. So as we look at Glazebrook, who's actually closing up to the back of Carr, I would really like to see Gau in the pits, please, if possible, director. But as we're looking at Glazebrook, who's all over the back, look at the speed he had going through the Parabolica there, and Glazebrook is just going to absolutely steamroll past Amar Carr. He's alongside him, side by side between the two, as they come towards the first chicane. And I'm begging to see what Gal's fuel is, to see if he's gone to the end. If he's gone to the end, we could see a battle possibly between Gal and Will Neller. As here's the battle actually. Gal, I couldn't quite see it because he went off the screen too quickly, but Anderson's now trying to make a move on the inside. He has come out ahead of Anderson, and that is very important for Gal as well. I still couldn't see what his fuel was. I believe he did have enough to go to the end, and if that's the case, we could see a battle between Gal and Neller for possibly even the win actually, because Mackenzie will have to pit once more before the end. So as we're looking at Roke, who's on the inside of the manor of Etienne Jones, and he's going to make the move into the chicane and passes Jones for 11th position. So good move there by the British driver. So Mackenzie obviously will be pitting once before the end. Neller's on fresher tyres, so I wonder actually, I think the one stop actually may have worked for Will Neller here, because he's obviously come out ahead of Gal, who had to hold off the challenge of Julius Anderson. That was important for him. Obviously Anderson pitting once more, so it looks like it could be Gal versus Neller for the victory here. You can just see Gal in the distance here, so get your popcorn ready, because we could see a fascinating battle for who wins this Italian Grand Prix, as we look and saw Amar Carr into the pits for his final stop of the race, I would think. I believe it should be, as he's in the pits. You can see there, looking at Hutter, who's right behind the Ferrari of Joseph Willers, who now at the moment is in the points, so the Tifosi have got something to cheer about. But I believe, of course, Willers has to pit before the end. And Hutter, just look at the speed he's got coming through the Parabolica. He's just going to absolutely steamroll past Joseph Willers, as there is the Red Bull car just about to come out of the pits as well. So he'll be down to 10th position, sorry. And so Hutter passes Willows up into 8th. And Willows actually he will actually go to the end, will Joseph Willows, so, but it doesn't look like he's got much pace though, as Mocho being lapped there by, I think that was it was the Mercedes of Jay Mackenzie, who of course will be pitting once more before the end. It'd be interesting to see what the pace of Neller and Miklas Gau is. So unfortunately for the two Toro Rossos, it's a disastrous race for them, really, both pretty much in last position. And so I just want to see what the pace of Neller is. What is the gap between him and Mackenzie? What's that say? About 14 seconds. So he is closing the gap a little bit, but I think he needs to close it a little bit more to be sure of a gap, because of course Mackenzie will be hitting in a few laps time. So at the moment the order is Mackenzie first, Neller in second, Gala in third, the top 3, and the rest of the order there. Sontag running in 6th position at this moment in time, but of course I believe he has to stop once more before the end as well. Berner's just coming out of the pits right in front of his teammate. Now Tiranen, no! And they've made contact, I believe, the Renaults, and unfortunately for Byrne, who was having a fairly encouraging race, that's pretty much ended, I think I'd say, any hopes of a points finish with that. And so unfortunately for Renault, their race has gone, it's just gone absolutely to pot. And yep, there was clear contact there from Tiranen. He didn't really need to do that because Bernard just came out of the pits, but decided to anyway. Here is Carr on the back of Willers, who is obviously going to the end, but he's really struggling in that car. So I wonder if Willers actually will get any points at all at this point. But as we're coming on to the back straight, and Carr now trying to get past. Speaking of getting past, Hutter has just passed Sontag into the Ascari chicane. Carr tries it there but fails. So that is the battle, of course, for 8th position. Sontag is going to be pitting this lap, as a matter of fact, so there we go. He'll be pitting once more. So the gap to Neller to Mackenzie is 14.4 seconds. So Neller has closed the gap slightly, not that much, but slightly. I think he would have preferred well, he needs to close it, I think, a little bit more. I think if he wants to be guaranteed of the win, because Mackenzie has looked pretty quick today. But it's going to be an interesting battle between the two Mercedes and Gal for the win, it seems. So Sontag comes into his final stop of this race, and he comes into his pit box. He'll change all 4 tyres, and there we go. And of course he'll go to the end, which makes, of course, a lot of sense. And out of the pits he comes. He's going to be way down the order, but obviously many drivers in front of him, including Nicholas Zorbach, who's actually, I'm pretty sure, got the furthest. I don't think he's quite got the furthest he ever has. But he's getting close to the end of the race, Zorbach. So this is important for him because he could actually finish a race. As we look through the rest of the order, so Glazebrook right now running on his own in P5. He really ever has done, but he's had a very good performance, has Glazebrook. So you have to give credit to him for this one. Willows now in 7th position, but he's going to be under a lot of pressure from Carr here, and with Willows going to the end, he's probably going to be a sitting duck for a number of drivers. So Carr is on the inside of Willows. Is he going to make it stick? The answer is not quite. And now Roke is going to be closing off on both of these two if Carr doesn't get it done soon. He's got a terrible actually exit out of the corner there, and Roke might get the run off the corner, and I think he is, and he might make the move into the Parabolica here because Carr got a terrible exit there. Roke on the inside. And he's going to make the move, is he? Yes, no, he's not. He just keeps it around the outside, does Carr. But Roke will still have the slipstream off the corner, and will try and make a move into the first chicane. And now side by side between Roke and Carr. Roke, who will be pitting once more before the end, and just squeezes past the Red Bull of Carr. And he's going to make the move up for 8th position. Good move there by Roke. Carr might try and get it back, though, pretty much straight away, coming into the second chicane if he keeps in the slipstream enough. And I think he is just about kept in, is he? Yes, I think he is closing. And speaking of cars coming in, Oliver Glazebrook is into the pits for his final stop of the race for McLaren. So let's see how quick this stop is. And Glazebrook, as I said, has had a very, very solid race ever since really the second stop. He's kind of run on his own really, but the pace in the McLaren has been pretty good, I have to say. So he's definitely deserved a good result, and it's a much needed one for Glazebrook as well. So as he comes in to the pits, comes out, obviously will be going to the end, and I don't think he was a few seconds off Anderson, so I'm not sure if he'll jump Anderson or not, but we'll find out. If he does, then Anderson will be right on his back, because he's definitely the quicker car in that Williams. And crucially for Glazebrook, he does come out ahead of Joel Hudson. Oh, Willis is off, and Joseph Willis is out. Oh dear, right onto the front straight where the Tifosi are, and that is crucial for the championship as well. Oh dear me, and that is going to delight the 2 Mercedes and also the 2 Red Bull drivers as well. And oh dear, Willows, who could have been on for at least getting a couple of points, and he goes around in the parabola, goes off and goes into the wall. And how crucial could that mistake be for Joseph Willows? I think despite him retiring from this race, I think he'll still keep the lead in the championship. But this mistake, I mean, who knows if it will cost him come the end of the season? I don't know. But speaking of cars coming in, Jamie Mackenzie comes in for his final stop of the race. So he will obviously relinquish the lead to Wilnella and to Miklos Gal as well. And where's Gal? Has he not gone past him yet? And where is Gal? Oh, now he has. So I don't think actually Gal, I always thought Gal would close to the back of Nella, but it seems like Nella actually may have done the jump on Gal. He may have got given him the ghost, and here's Anderson, who's coming to the pits this lap. He'll temporarily for the whole lap have 3rd position, but of course Mackenzie will be passing him. Well, he'll be getting past him anyway because he'll be coming to the pits. So I wonder if Mackenzie could close on the back of Gal before the end of this race. I don't know if we'll get Nella, because it looks like Nella is pretty good right now, but we'll have to wait and see. And look at the speed that Mackenzie's already got coming out of the pits, and Anderson is going to block him off there. Not going to let him through that easy, but he doesn't need this, does Jamie Mackenzie, because he needs well, Anderson doesn't particularly need it either, because he needs to hope that he comes out ahead of Glazebrook. I think he still will, but it could be close if there's a collision. But we'll see, as Mackenzie all over the back of Anderson's chuff, coming on to the back straight as they come through, heading towards the Ascari chicane. Mackenzie is now on the inside. We saw Roke just in the pits there. Mackenzie on the inside, and he's made it through. That's important for him in the battle for getting possibly more than P3. The win, I don't know, but we'll see. He'll be on fresher tyres than both Nella and probably Gal combined, so we'll see how that works out. But Anderson is going to be pitting this lap, and we'll see if he keeps 4th position as he comes through the Parabolica for the 42nd time, about to go on the 43rd lap, and he now comes into the pits. And I would imagine, unless Glazebrook has had probably the greatest in-lap of, well, the history of the gods, then I would think Anderson is going to stay ahead of Glazebrook. But there could be a nice battle though for P4 there, if that's not the case. But Anderson comes in, he'll of course go to the end. And where is Glazebrook on the circuit? I would imagine probably as he comes to the pit, Glazebrook will be just about coming around the Parabolica, I would think. But Anderson comes out of the pits, and let's see. He comes out of his pit box. Where is oh, here's Glazebrook. Oh, this could be close. And Glazebrook is coming across the line here. And will Anderson get out in front? And there is Anderson. And here comes Glazebrook. So this could be very close into the chicane. And I think Anderson has just got enough, and he has, crucially, unless Glazebrook, if he wants to get 4th Glazebrook, he needs to get past him now. Has he got the run off the chicane? I'm not quite sure. And I think Anderson has probably got 4th place in the bag right there, coming out of the pits ahead of Glazebrook. That was actually a lot closer than I was expecting. I thought it would be about a second or two more. But Glazebrook, oh, if he had one more lap, if Anderson was pitting a lap later, then Glazebrook would have had him. And then it would have been a fascinating battle for P4 for the rest of the race, that is for sure. But whew, that was close. But I said Glazebrook needs to get him now, because if he doesn't, Anderson will just fly away from him. But that was a great battle there for. That was briefly a great battle for P4. Mackenzie at the moment coming across the line in P3. He's got a comfortable gap to 4th place Anderson, so he can just absolutely go for it. And even if he makes a mistake, he'll still finish in, at the very least, in P3. So we're looking at the Ferrari, sorry, not the Ferrari, the Red Bull of Gal, as here is Zorbach, who's making a move on Roberto Gamba, and he makes it through up into 14th position into the Parabolica there. Good move by the German driver, who has said 6 retirements so far in 6 races. This is the 7th. The record here, I believe, was set by Robert Hunter, and I think that was 7 as well, so he could match, if he doesn't finish the race, his record. We're looking at this battle for 7th position. This is between Tomaselli and now Turin, and both of these guys will be going to the end of the race, it looks like, as now Turin is on the back of Tomaselli. He's going to try and make a move into the Ascari chicane. Now Turin trying to make it on the inside. Is he not going to make it stick there? And he makes a little mistake, does now Turin, coming through the Ascari chicane, so he loses a little bit of ground on Tomaselli, but he's going to try coming, well, he's not going to be close to coming to the Parabolica. But if he gets a good run through the Parabolica, he could easily have him on the front straight. As if we're going to go back to it, yes, and it looks like now Turin is closing on the Sauber, coming through the Parabolica here, and he's going to surely make the move on the inside of Sontag, and yes, he does. So it's going to be side by side between the two, as I just said, Sontag as well, on the inside of Tomaselli, heading towards the first chicane. This is the battle for 7th position. Now Turin is through on the inside, is he? And yes, he does. He makes it up into 7th position. So now Turin, who I didn't think was going to get anything with this race, might actually get some decent points from this race. So Gal, the gap is, I think that was 6.2, so I think he's definitely closing, is Nicolas Gallinella, but the question is, will he be able to catch him towards the end? He's got 7 laps to do so. 6.5. Mackenzie is 10 seconds behind. He's only, that's about, what, 4 seconds, I would say, behind. So I think Mackenzie could easily get, I don't think he's got enough to get, as we saw Hudson, sorry, getting past Jones in the first game, but I think he could easily get Gal for 2nd place. I'm not sure if he can get Nella though. Excuse me. As Tomaselli has a problem. No, Paolino Tomaselli, who is running and going to get some more points for Sauber in 8th position. Unfortunately, has got a mechanical problem, and it's a water leak, as a matter of fact. So the question is, will he get to the pits or not? But even if he does, he's going to lose, I think, any chance of points, as he's got the Haas of Hutter, who is right behind him there. So that's going to be very unfortunate for the Italian driver, and unfortunately just more anger and, oh dear. I mean, I don't think it could be, and there we go. And there goes the engine for Tomaselli. I don't think it could get any worse, really, for the Italian crowd. The Ferraris, both Ferraris are out of the race. Both Italian drivers have had an absolutely god-awful weekend. Well, race that is, although Tomaselli was having a good race, but unfortunately his race is now over, and oh dear, that's just not good for them at all. It's been going to be a crying shame as we look at Sontag, who's going to be held up trying to get past Jones here, who's got a terrible run out the corner. And of course there's Tomaselli as well. And Jones tries to get past Tomaselli, and he does, but he holds up Sontag in the meantime. And so he's going to try now make a move into the chicane. I'm not sure. Sontag all over the back of Jones. He's going to try and make it on the inside, which he doesn't. That's going to allow George Roque to close up behind him as well, if they're not careful. And I was just seeing the battle for 4th position. Anderson has managed to get away by about 3 seconds ahead of Oliver Glazebrook, so it looks like that battle is probably over. But speaking of over, that is what has happened to Paolino Tomaselli's race. So there we go. And now Roque is now on the back of his battle for P9. This is between Jones, Sontag and Roque, so we'll see how this battle goes. And Jones is seemingly really struggling on the tyres. Sontag all over the back of him, but Roque is going to be even quicker, I think. But Sontag didn't get a good run out of that corner there, so Roque's going to try and make a move around the outside. But that's not going to work. He's going to try and swap to the inside, but Sontag might have the run of the Manor in front of him, and I think he does, although Sontag does defend to the inside actually. And so Roque can't make it stick there. He makes a little mistake, and he's going to lose a lot of ground. And Mackenzie has passed Gal for P2. I was wondering if he was going to catch him or not, and he has, with 5 laps to go. And I think Mackenzie will close the gap to Nella in front, but I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time. But that was a good move there by the Mercedes of Jamie Mackenzie. Here's Mocho on the back of Evan Byrne, and he does make it stick. Just 5 laps to go. What has been an absolutely enthralling Italian Grand Prix, as Sontag down in 10th position. He would like to get probably more points than just one. He's all over the back of Jones, who goes a little bit wide into the first chicane there. So Sontag's going to get a good run off there, and he's going to get the slipstream for sure. And coming to the second chicane, he's going to probably try and make a move if he gets close enough. He's just about in the slipstream. I think he's in it now, and yes he is, because he's close. You can see how quickly the speed's going up. He's going to swap to the inside. Does he make it stick? No, he doesn't. Jones holds it. And I said they've got to be careful, because Roque is just lying in wait for them to make a mistake. But of course, they've now got the Mercedes of Nella, who actually needs to get past these 3 ASAP, because of course he needs to he needs to stay ahead of Mackenzie if he wants to win this race. And so Nella is going to lap Roque coming onto the front straight, which he does so just now. Makes it up into makes it past Roque, and now Sontag got the inside of Jones. Does he make it stick here? The answer is yes, he does. And Jones makes a mistake, but now that's going to allow Roque to close up behind, as Mackenzie's set to lap him. Where's he? No, I'm not sure, but Roque is going to follow the Mercedes through, and look at that! And he follows the Mercedes through, and oh my word! He's going to try and unlap himself here, is Roque, but he moves up into 10th position, and he doesn't try and lap the Mercedes there. That would have been a stupid thing to do. But there we go. So Roque did a very nice sneaky move there to get past the Manor of Jones. So he moves up into 10th position. Now here is the battle for, I think this is 14th position, Roberto Gamba, and this is Mocho, and he made, oh no! Oh, that was nearly a bad mistake, but fortunately nothing has happened, so there we go. And the gap now to Mackenzie is 7 seconds, so that's definitely not going to be enough in just 2 laps left to go. And Glazebrook actually has kept the pace to Anderson, to be fair. It's only 4 seconds, so imagine if he actually had come out ahead of Anderson. That would have been a fascinating battle. But here is Byrne on the inside, or trying to get on the inside of one of the other Italians, Roberto Gamba. As I said, it's been everything that could have gone wrong for Italy in one race has in fact gone wrong. So there we go. And Byrne is going to try and late move on the inside. If I was going to say Byrne takes Roberto Gamba out, that would just add fuel to the flames. So there we go. Fails to make it through there, and he's in the slipstream of the McLaren. And does he make it through? The answer is no, he doesn't. So he has to stay behind. He's going to make a move on the inside now. Mackenzie is closing on Nella, but it's still not going to be enough. Burn through. Roberto Gamba down to 60th position, and Carr's running in 16th right now. Sontag in 9th. Roque is close behind in 10th though, so that could be a battle still brewing or going to the end of the race. Roberto Gamba in 12th at the moment. Staubach still running in 13th, and so there we go. Mackenzie again closing on the back of Nella, but it's just surely not going to be enough. He's running out of time, and he is pretty much almost out of time. He's got just 2 laps to try and get the gap to Nella, and I just don't think it's going to happen right now. I really don't think it's going to happen, as here is Roque all over the back of Sontag coming towards the first chicane, and he is not going to make the move there, and so he's going to have to wait until probably the first chicane to make the move. He's all over the back of the German, and Roke is got. Look at the speed, look at the slipstream he's got there. So Roke might make the move on the inside here, and Roke's on the inside, and he's going to make it up into 9th position. So there we go. Good move there by Roke, and he moves up and get 2 points instead of just the single point. Nella at the moment still leading. The gap as it is just slowly coming down. I think that's what, 5 seconds I think it is. So Kenzie is closing the gap. You can probably just about see him in the background. Can you? Yes, there he is. But it's just not going to be enough. It's now down. It's going now down to under 5.5 seconds. But it looks like Nella has got the jump over his teammate. So as he's coming around the parabolica for the penultimate time, and it looks like Nella is on his way to victory. So as he comes around the parabolica for the penultimate time, and he's about to start the final lap of the Italian Grand Prix, and I have to say, I really didn't think Nella would be in contention for this victory, because of course he had taken the lead at the start, but he made 2 mistakes into the first chicane, which I thought would cost him the race. But he was in fact on the one stop, which is why he was struggling on the tyres, and I didn't think his pace was that good either. But he's proven me, I have to say, proven me wrong, and he's set to take victory here. And of course that is crucial for him, with both Ferraris out of this race, both Volker and Willows. It was an absolute nightmare for Ferrari and for everything Italian this race. The gap, as I said, coming down. It's now under 5 seconds, and as he comes to the 2 Lesmers for the final time, the gap, as I said, Willows will of course still lead the championship standings after this race. However, of course, it will be reduced quite significantly, and I have to say that for Italian Grand Prix wise, it has been probably one of the best, the absolute best that we have seen here, as Nella is coming through the Ascari chicane for the final time. Look at the gap now down to 4.2. I think if they had probably 2 or 3 laps, then Mackenzie would be right on the chuff of Nella. As he's coming down the back straight for the final time, we could actually see a battle for 7th there between now Turner and Hutter, as Nella is coming around the parabolica for the final time, and the one stop actually worked to perfection for Nella, and in a race of attrition and a disastrous race for Ferrari, Nella is going to win the Italian Grand Prix. Would you look at that? What a race that was, and a very short race, 1 hour and 30. Mackenzie across the line in second, a Mercedes 1-2. Roke comes across the line in P9 to get some much needed points for him. Miguel Scal will take P3. I think he'll be pretty satisfied with that. Sontag in 10th. Jones across the line in 11th, so Sontag will get a point, so I'll be pretty happy with that. Jones probably slightly disappointed he didn't get anything from this race. Frankie Gamba 12th, and Nicholas Zorbach has finished a race, ladies and gentlemen. He has finished a race in 13th position, as Julius Anderson has come across the line in 4th, Evan Byrne in 15th, Roberto Gamba 16th, and Oliver Glazebrook, what a race as well from him, 5th position. I bet no one expected to see that before the end. Well, no one would have expected him to see in the top 5 before the end of this race, so fair play to him. A great performance from him. Omar Carr will come across the line in 6th position. A very lonely race, but at least he does get some points on the board as he comes across the line. And we're still waiting for the last 2 drivers, Hutter and now Turner, to come across the line. Now Turner, who I didn't think was going to be in the contention for any points, or for many points today, is going to get some. And he's going to hold off Joel Hutter for 7th position as he comes across the line. And there we go. That is the race over. So, and what a race it was. So let's go through the full race results and the drivers, and of course the constructors. So here we go, of course. Nella winning ahead of Jamie McKenzie in 2nd, Miklas Gow in 3rd, Julius Anderson 4th, Glazebrook in 5th, Carr 6th, Thierry now Turner 7th, Hutter in 8th, the last car on the lead lap, with Roke and Sontag completing the points. Etienne Jones just missing out in 11th position. There's still a good race by him as well, with Jamie McKenzie setting the fastest lap of the race, a 1:21 dead, as a matter of fact. And the rest of the race order here: Frank Gamma in 12th, Nicholas Zorbach once again in 13th position, Michael Motra in 14th, Evan Byrne 15th, Roberto Gamma 16th, with Paulino Tomaselli, Joseph Willers, Rick Yan, Florian Volker, Franco Lopez and Roland Moichin all not finishing this race. So there we go. Now we'll take a look at the driver standings. It'll be fascinating to see what we come of here. So the gap from Nella to Willows, just 7 points now, just only 7 points. Mackenzie moves ahead of Amar Khan into 3rd position in the championship. He really has recovered very well. Gal moves ahead of Volker into 5th position in the championship as well. Look at the gap from Volker down to Rick Yan in 7th. Roland Moichin 8th. Franco Lopez 9th. Julius Hansen on level on points for Franco Lopez in 10th. Looking through the rest of the order now, Turner moving up to 14th position. Glazer moving up to 19th with that 5th place finish. Obviously Jones and Sontag moving down to the order. And of course, crucially, the last driver in the standings is Nicholas Solbach, but he does actually have a number to his name. He is 23rd in the championship, with the fact that he has actually finished a race. So fair play to him, he has actually done it. So there we go. We'll now look finally at the constructor standings for the Italian Grand Prix. Mercedes have now taken the lead over Ferrari by just 9 points, so it's close there, as well as in the Drivers' Championship. Red Bull a bit further behind in third, Force India way behind in fourth, Williams in fifth, just 2 points behind, Renault sixth, Toro Rosso seventh, McLaren in eighth, moving ahead of Haas in ninth, Sauber in 10th, and Manor in 11th position. Whew, well, that was the Italian Grand Prix, and that was an unbelievable race, probably the best race of the season. Don't forget to, as usual guys, vote for your driver of the day and give the race a rating out of 10. Thanks for watching everybody, and we'll see you for the Singapore Grand Prix at the Marina Bay Circuit. I'm off to get a beer because I am exhausted after that one. Thanks for watching guys, and see you there.